think that is clear. I'm trying out a new camera. One second. Yep, okay. I am trying out a new camera setting. If it's a little blurry, my apologies for that. And thank you so much to the person who left a comment on one of my recent videos asking about this topic we're looking at today. We are comparing Iowa and Nebraska. No, they're not exactly the same. It's a lot of corn. It's the Midwest. But there are some differences you should be aware of, as well as a lot of similarities too. I want to say, I live in Iowa. I grew up here. I've spent my whole life here. I haven't ever lived in Nebraska. I've been there to visit. I've got plenty of family over there in Louisville. My mom's from Louisville. My dad's from Wayne. My aunt and uncle live in Lincoln. I've been to Omaha a couple of times, but I don't have as much of an insider's perspective. So as I'm going through this, if you do have an insider's perspective, please let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you and would love to get a conversation going there. So let's get going. All right, we are covering 5 topics today. We're talking size, talking cost of living, we are talking housing market, we are talking school systems, and we're talking safety. In terms of size, Nebraska and Iowa's got 3 million, Nebraska's got 2 million. That's not gonna affect your day-to-day life very much. In both Iowa and Nebraska, we've got Des Moines, and we've got Omaha. Omaha is a couple 100,000 higher in population than Des Moines. They come in at like 450, I believe, and Des Moines is right at 2. But in terms of how that affects the feel of the city, some people I saw online on Quora were saying that has a much more spread out feel than Des Moines. This is where you can let me know in the comments if you think that's true or not. Geographically, Omaha covers much more space than Des Moines does, but surprisingly, people reported the exact same average commute time in Omaha as they do in the Des Moines metro. That's one of my favorite things about Des Moines is we're pretty much within 25 minutes of anywhere that we could need to be. That's another awesome thing about these mid-sized Midwest cities is they don't have that huge big city feel like Chicago or New York or Detroit, but we have the big city amenities, stuff like Topgolf, tons of awesome restaurants, breweries, malls, shopping centers, all of that good stuff. I'm gonna save us some time. The cost of living in both Nebraska and Iowa, Omaha and Des Moines is very, very similar. I made a whole video about Iowa and how cost of living here stacks up to the rest of the states on a scale where 100 is the average, and anything lower than that means your cost of living is cheaper. Iowa and Nebraska come in both under 90. So they're both significantly cheaper places to live than the rest of the US or than what's average in the US. One area, however, where we are not cheaper is our tax burden. So we come in under the average in terms of cost of living, but the tax burden in both Nebraska and Iowa is the 10th highest tax burden in the US and Nebraska is the 13th. A lot of that has to do with our high property tax rates. I've mentioned this before. I have a friend moving here from Delaware, and he was surprised at how much property taxes affected his buying power looking for a home here in central Iowa. Now, there's no like standard, your property taxes are gonna be X amount of dollars higher per $50,000 worth of house. I wish there was. It's gonna be different in both Nebraska and Iowa, depending on which school district, city, county, part of the state you live in. Talk to a local realtor. That would be my advice for that. You can give me a call. I can refer you to someone in Nebraska or another part of Iowa if need be. Also, salaries in both of these places are very, very similar as well, according to the US Census Bureau. Now, Nebraska as a whole, according to just like the online stats from their MLS pulled up in Zillow, their average home value is $250,000. That's going to be higher than Iowa's average home value of $210,000. But data is skewed like that. When I was just looking on Zillow around at homes, I was thinking, okay, if I'm shopping for a $300,000 home in Omaha, it looks very, very similar to what I can buy here in Des Moines for $300,000. So again, it's all gonna be really hyper-local depending on which part of which state you live in. As a whole, the county, Douglas County, that makes up most of Omaha, just has about $6,000 higher for their average home price than Polk County, which is the county that makes up most of Des Moines. All right, schools. These are important if you have kids. For most people, I think. Nebraska is going to take the cake here. They have the 7th highest ranked schools in the US when it comes to ACT scores, SAT scores, high school graduation rate, dropout rate. Their school system comes in higher at number 7 than Iowa's, which comes in at number 16. Both are still good, but 7 over 16, that's quite a bit better, so good job, Nebraska. I will say, though, their busing system in Nebraska is a little bit worse for their public schools. If you live more than 4 miles away from a school in Nebraska, elementary through high school, you qualify for free or government-provided busing. If you live within that range, you're going to be paying like $550 per student if you want them to take the bus. In Iowa, we've got a similar setup. It's a little different. You have to live outside of 1.5 miles for elementary school, 2 miles for middle school, and 3 miles for high school in order to qualify for the free busing. Inside of that, you're paying about $350 per student per busing. So it is a little bit more favorable, I think, if transportation to and from school is important to you, to live in Iowa. Last thing, and we're going to wrap up, safety. Both of our states are, I would say, relatively safe. Now, if you look at the stats on like US News for Omaha and Des Moines, you're going to see that both of these cities have crime rates that are slightly higher than other cities of this size. But it's not like Omaha or Nebraska as a whole has a higher crime rate than Iowa. In both cities, in any part of any state, there's going to be safer parts and there's going to be parts that have higher crime statistics. So if that is important to you, just do your research. Again, I can point you to some references. You can always even like call the local police station. I know that might sound kind of weird, but it is worth doing if that's really important to you. There's not a ton that us real estate agents can tell you about safety because it's all subjective. I have never lived in Nebraska. Let me know if you have, what you think of this video, what you think of the data that I found online. If there's anything I can do for you, if you're considering a move to the Midwest, Iowa, Nebraska, wherever, I would love to help figure out if any of these places would be a good fit for you. So please give me a call. Anytime you can reach out to me on my cell, you can call or text, and I look forward to hearing from you. That is my favorite part about doing these YouTube videos, is getting to meet all sorts of awesome people, clients, new friends from around the nation. It is so cool. Never thought I'd be able to do something like this with YouTube. But anyways, last ask would be to like and subscribe if you have a few seconds. That helps me out a ton, helps me to help more people like yourself. Appreciate you.